This is the Catalyst Effect. I'm Isaac Carter, and we are here at DFW Startup Week, and I am with the second place winner. Dr. Leah, you have a really interesting tech, non-tech platform. Tell me about this.
It's strictly tech, Isaac.
Awesome.
So I'm Dr. Leah Lewis, and I am the founder of Cocoon Technologies, Inc., where we've developed a contactless policing solution for traffic stops. It is a SaaS, and it requires smartphone technology.
Awesome. Okay, so this is so that I can, I've done a traffic infraction, which I would never do.
An alleged traffic infraction. Yes.
And I am going to, the police officer is going to stop me without having to directly interact with me.
That's the goal. So the officer sees an alleged traffic violation.
Okay.
The officer puts on her lights and her sirens. Both cars pull over, but no one leaves their vehicle.
Okay.
So you pull over, stay put, and the officer, if you're using our app and that municipality is using our app, they plug in your license plate number, your information comes up, they send you a request for a video chat. That way, no one is in the presence of lethal weapons.
Awesome. And that's better for both sides.
Absolutely.
So I had an instance one time where I was driving to West Texas, and I had a firearm in my car, and I got pulled over. I was driving in the left lane for too far, and it's not safe in that open country out there. The police officer came up, and I said, "Officer, I've done something stupid." And they said, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, my firearm is sitting on top of my registration and my insurance." And so he had to immediately, but that's a risky situation for both of us. And I opened the glove box and I said, "Take the firearm, you can give it back to me unloaded later." And that way we were able to have some clarity there. But I'm trained in that type of situation pretty extensively, and so was that. And that was broad daylight on an empty road. There was no cars honking. There wasn't a lot going on. So that was the best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
But what would have been a better case scenario is, one, if I'd been smart enough to put that thing somewhere else. Or two, if there was a way for him to address that infraction. Laws exist for the protection of civil society. You can't have civil rights without civil responsibility.
Correct.
We have to have law and order. I think there's a lot of things that we can do to make the laws more just and easy to apply, but also if there's a way to address these situations without putting both parties in unnecessary danger or even stress. These traffic stops can be very, very traumatizing for a lot of people.
Well, I tell you, our law enforcement advisors will tell you that the traffic stop is the most precarious of their work. Why? Because at a traffic stop, you have no idea what you're happening upon. No. So I want to salute you for the way in which you handled that situation. We created Lara, that's our application. It stands for License and Registration App, to bring mutual comfort, security, and data collection to the traffic stop. Lara is intended to save lives and limbs and to reduce the amount of money that municipalities have to pay out for wrongful death lawsuits resulting from alleged police brutality. So our solution brings safety to both sides of that encounter.
And I'm sure also increases goodwill in the community.
That is what we hope will happen. You know, people have to trust police.
Yeah.
And police, in turn, have to trust citizens.
The status of do you have a prototype MVP? Are you in the market full-fledged?
Yeah, so we have a phenomenal MVP. I'm calling it that, though it's more than that. Okay. We do have that. We have 4 interfaces. We'll be testing it very soon at 2 sites in Michigan. We'll be testing at M-City, which is affiliated with the University of Michigan, and Kettering GM in Flint. Prior to the 70s, as I understand it, most of the engineers who worked for General Motors came out of Kettering. So we'll be testing there. And then we have a commitment for a pilot site in Emmett County, which is in northern Michigan. And it's a resort community. So we're hoping to get some great data.
These are my stomping grounds. I was there last week.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so I was in Flint and then went over to Algonac, and then coming down, drove right through.
What a small world. And here we are meeting in Dallas. Okay.
So are you from Southeast Michigan?
So I live in Detroit now. Okay. I'm bilocational. We started the company in Cleveland, Ohio. And because Detroit really understands mobility solutions, we opened up an office and I took an apartment in Detroit.
That's smart. Yeah. So My dad worked for Van Dorn, so we spent a lot of time in Stronsville, right there.
Yes,
And then
wonderful.
I learned how to drive, literally driving my dad back and forth from Macomb Township to Stronsville, Ohio.
So here we have this Northeast Ohio and this Michigan connection. I love it.
And the amazing thing about Southeast Michigan is they have been pushing the envelope on innovating in policing for years. And it's one, out of interest, and two, out of necessity. They have to be able to police that large of an area with the resources that they have to be innovative.
Absolutely.
So we've seen, they were one of the very, in Shelby Township was one of the very first communities to have their own private police Wi-Fi and have every vehicle in that car connected to each other through data as well as through the radio. You went through a very innovative area for policing, which is very wise. There's also really good, strong community support there for improvements in technology. I know Louisville PD, when they were trying to increase their community outreach, they hired some police officers from Michigan in the Detroit area and came down. And so from there, they started saying, okay, policing right now, police officers are graded based off of the number of arrests, the number of tickets, and the actions. And so there's been a lot of focus on, okay, hold on a second. How do you protect and serve and be a part of a community if you're judged based off of punitive activities?
Right.
So now there's a lot more of a focus on, okay, let's take a look at the safety, wellness, and harmony in the community, and let's start trying to find ways to grade policing based off of community outreach programs and after-school interactions and positive interactions. Because for me, I would rather have a police officer that goes and plays basketball with kids when they get out of school than a police officer that goes and writes them tickets for loitering.
Right. Well, I believe that our application is going to support this view of policing through the lens of safety.
Yeah.
You know, we're hoping to gather data that will show a reduction in police brutality and also dangers and assaults leveled against police.
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned to you that our solution will save lives and limbs. You have officers, right, who are particularly doing traffic patrol on highways. And for some reason, people don't want to give law enforcement officers a lane when they have pulled someone over. And so there's a story that really moved me of a young officer, 26 years old, conducting a stop on a highway. He was hit by a car and lost a limb. So he doesn't have a career anymore, not in law enforcement. So our solution can eliminate those kinds of dynamics and provide greater safety, again, to the officer and the motorist.
Yeah, and I think we can all put down a long list of both sides. I lived in Polk County, Florida for a while, and when I was there was officer, I believe his name was Matt Wilson, that was shot and killed during a traffic stop. And then there's a whole list of officers that either reacted poorly, badly, or the interaction went poorly, and somebody that could be here with their families isn't now on the civilian side too. And there's actually a police officer promotion happening on campus here. There are hundreds of police officers here for an event.
Okay.
So seeing that there's a during MedTech Day to see a pitch around policing, and I think more than just the technology, having the open conversation about how do we police, because really I know that they say, oh, you have civilians and then you have law enforcement officers, but really we're all civilians.
Absolutely.
We're all members of the community. And we should be having these open discussions about. So my grandmother was a chaplain with the Pasco County Sheriff's Department until she was almost 80 years old. And what she would do is anytime there was a call around somebody that was developmentally challenged, autistic, anything like that, she would go up because she has special training in that, and she was training the police, and they actually recruited her to come in and help these officers learn how to how to interact with these members of the community. And contactless, I think, is absolutely an amazing assistance there.
Yeah.
And that will then open up more time, training resources. Hopefully, if you're doing a lot more contactless, it's less training, hours and dollars that you can use
Absolutely.
for other things.
Yeah. The contactless piece is huge. It will give officers in particular an opportunity to really assess the situation that they've encountered and to then take appropriate action.
Yeah.
So that's what we're aiming for. And I want to applaud your grandmother. I think that's great work.
Yeah, she was literally driving a police cruiser, 80 years old, driving a cruiser out to help respond to these, and that was her call her whole life. And she's still there, kicking, finding her mission out there, almost 90 years old, but not policing the community anymore.
Got it.
I love it. I love
you.
it. Thank you so much for that. I
You're
want
welcome.
to see you be successful with that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing work.
Can I share our origin story with you before I
do
take
that.
off?
Do that.
So the night I learned about the death of Dante Wright in Brooklyn, Minnesota, I hit the roof. That was my tipping point. The world had already seen Philando Castile and countless others. And so, like your grandmother, I'm Reverend Dr. Leah Lewis.
Yeah.
Went into prayer. It was a prayer of lament. Tossed and turned that night, didn't sleep well. Woke up the next morning and I had the idea for Lara nearly fully formed. So I contacted the only tech founder I knew at that time. I now know hundreds. Shared the idea with him and he said, Leah, that will keep police officers safe too. Well, Isaac, I have to tell you, months later, I learned about the death of 29-year-old Chicago police officer Ella French. So his words came back and galvanized me because I now had two cases where a motorist and a law enforcement officer were killed during traffic stops. And so mutuality is something that is always in the front of my thinking when I work on Lara, because it's not us versus them as much as people want it to be in discourse. This, as we've discussed here today, is a human problem. And so let's use technology to solve it and keep everyone safe.
And also it can give us a common dialogue to talk about these things, because you have people there, Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That's true. Black Lives Matter, these member of communities, and then you have people on the other side saying every life matters. Which is true, but that's not what they mean when
That's
they
not
say
what they
that.
mean, right.
So now when we come in here and say, hey, you have a situation in our society that causes danger to both sides.
That's right.
And for me, I look at that specific situation and say, hey, if that motorist had done some things differently, he would still be alive. And if that police officer had done things differently, they would still be alive. But when you have such strong, and rightfully so, strong emotions around something and no common dialogue of, hey, we can save lives on both sides, and we can increase the comfort level of the interaction on both sides. If you have people in the minority communities are terrified when they have to interact with the police officer, and a lot of times the police officers, they've seen things and they're scared too. I don't know the answer there, but if we can open a common dialogue and we can start to create solutions that help elevate the conversation, then that is where we have to start. And I love seeing that you're using technology and creating solutions to help increase that dialogue.
Well, I tell you, we do have to elevate the conversation. We have to get very clear that this is a human problem. I can't go as far as you and say if the motorist had done something different, the outcome would have been different. What I do know is it takes a split second to take a life. So once you pull that trigger, there's no going back. Whether it was intended, whether it was a mistake, whether you were fearful, whether you're looking to use fear as an excuse, the reality is once you pull that trigger, death is going to result. And we want to end the amount of trauma that is associated with the loss of life during traffic stops. Again, on both sides of the equation. Because when you murder someone, you have not just harmed that person. You've harmed their family, you've harmed their community, and it seems like in the case of the United States, you've harmed the nation.
Sure.
So we have to eliminate it. We need people to understand that a traffic stop should lead to a ticket, a warning, a citation, and your day in court. And everyone, the law enforcement officer and the motorist, should be able to go home safely at the end of that traffic stop.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, I travel internationally a lot, and I've been in countries in Central America. And if I'm in trouble, I can't call for help. There's no one to call because the police in those countries, they're not there to protect and serve. In the U.S., in the areas that I live in, with my background and who I am, I can call for help, and I can be very confident that when they show up, they're going to help me. I know that there are areas in our country, Detroit is one of those areas, and there are people in this country that can't say that so assuredly. And so if we can open up a dialogue and say, hey, there are solutions to increase safety on both sides.
Yeah.
And to decrease the hostility towards nobody likes getting a traffic ticket. I don't like getting a traffic ticket. I eat it up when I deserve it. I take it. But if there's a way for us to de-escalate that without even and remove the contact, I think that everybody should be pursuing that.
Yeah, and see, I couldn't go back to Detroit if I didn't challenge your statement a little bit about you can't get help in Detroit. I meet officers in Detroit all the time who are wonderful.
Oh,
They're just good people,
but
right?
there are some areas that present a danger on both sides. I know there's some areas in Detroit where I don't stop for gas.
Yeah, and that's the case, sadly, in a lot of places in the country. I mean, you know, the New York Times did a great article on, I believe it was in Kentucky, where they have an outrageous number, I forget the community, of traffic stops that take place. And there's a lot of police brutality. Again, Kentucky. There aren't a lot of black folks in Kentucky. But you had officers who were stopping people that they went to high school with where there was tension.
Yeah.
So my point, Isaac, is we have to be very careful about how we talk about these issues, how we talk about these communities, what we highlight, what we pinpoint. We got to get on the path to solving the challenges and seeing one another as human and as right and righteous and equitable and worthy.
Absolutely.
And once we do that, we'll be on our way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
You're
I've really
welcome.
enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
So this is yet another of the amazing conversations that we have had here all week at Dallas Startup Week. And Dr. Leah, you're doing important work. And
Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And I hope that we're able to talk again about this.
We will.
I will be in Metro Detroit again later this year, so I look forward to trying to meet up with you.
I tell you, I love it because I don't encounter a lot of people who have the insights into law enforcement that you do. So yes, my friend, we'll continue this conversation.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.